Hey guys, it's me again, your friendly neighborhood obsidian pixie. I know it's been a while, but it is definitely nice to see you. This is my June TBR video. I'm doing 2 readathons in June. I'm doing the Septima's SelfCare readathon, and I'm doing Make Your Myth Taker readathon. So I'm just going to turn the camera around for a quick sec and show you guys all of the books that I'm reading, and then kind of go through and tell you what's what. Just give me 2 seconds to see if I can figure out how to do this. Nope, I can't, so I'm just going to turn the camera around. This is a large box of books, and these are all of the things I'm going to be reading in June. So to start with, we'll start with the Septima Self-Care Readathon. One of the prompts is read a book that makes you extremely happy. And for that, I picked The Princess Bride by William Goldman. It's a hilarious book, which the hilarious movie was based on. And that's part of why it makes me really happy, is because I've loved the movie since I was a little girl. And, you know, reading the book always makes me think of the movie and all the fun times I used to have watching the movie with my sister or my friends or my parents or anything like that. So that's the first book. Next, read a book with your favorite color on the cover. My favorite colors are red, purple, and yellow. Yellow's pretty difficult to find on books, but I did manage to find red. I'm reading Nevernight by J. Kristoff. This book has been recommended to me over and over and over and over and over again by so many people in the bookish community. So I actually don't really know what it's about yet. I haven't even read the back of it, but I'm really looking forward to reading it and finding out what all the hype is about. Read a book or genre you thoroughly enjoy, a guilty pleasure. My guilty pleasure is cheap romance, sometimes kind of trashy romance. There's a romance author by the name of Lindsay Sands. She writes a lot of paranormal romance with her Arjano Vampire series. I picked a different book by her this time, one of her historical romances, An English Bride in Scotland. The first time I've read one of her historical romances, but I'm really looking forward to it. Her books are usually a really easy read, really fast, but, you know, they're romance. What you don't really expect a lot of high literature out of romance. The other prompts for the Septima Self-Care Readathon don't necessarily require a specific book, but reading a book in particular situations, like the place you feel safest, while you're cuddling with a pet or a stuffed animal, while you're enjoying a favorite snack or a favorite drink. I'll probably do both. I'll probably do some of my yummy teriyaki-style popcorn and a glass of wine. Read a book in the bathtub or a book that gives you a bubbly feeling. I do have a great bathtub in my special spa room downstairs. Really looking forward to using that. I don't use it all that often because it's a huge tub. It takes a really long time to fill up and I get kind of impatient, but I'm gonna fill that up for this readathon and read a book while enjoying a face mask. Do it yourself, pre-bought, whatever, while enjoying a face mask. So again, I don't do that very often, but I do have a bunch of face masks I was given by a friend. So I'm going to pull one of those out and off we go. For next, I am doing Make Your Myth Taker readathon, which always seems to give me hard times to say. Basically, the point of this readathon is you pick the type of character you want, and there's 16 different characters you can choose from. Each character has 4 books, 4 prompts for you to read, and there's certain ones that can switch to other ones, and it's really complicated for me to explain, but it sounds really fun, so I'm going to do it. And because I do tend to read quite a bit, I'm reading 3 character paths. My primary one is Fairy, so I am reading a book featuring the Fae. So for that, I'm reading Tithe by Holly Black. I've read this before, but it was quite a while ago, so I don't really remember exactly what it was about. But I do remember that it's like a dark fairy tale spin, so I'm looking forward to rereading that. I do tend to like that kind of thing. Read a book with foil on the cover. For that, I'm reading Ironside by Holly Black. I don't know if you can tell, but it is kind of metallic under all of this black print. So this is what I'm reading. And again, this is the sequel to Tithe. So again, dark fairy tale kind of book. Read a book featuring woodland. I am reading Green Rider by Kristen Britton. This is the first book in a series, and then there was, I think, like 10 years between this one and the second one coming out. And now they are up to, I want to say 5 or 6. I love these books. They are incredible. She has created such a brilliant world. You should definitely look at supporting her on Patreon. She is fabulous. And finally, for Fairy, read a book outside your comfort zone. So again, like I usually do when I get prompts like this, I ask my husband, what book do we have on our shelves that you think I should read that will be outside my comfort zone? So he recommended Overclocked by Cory Doctorow. I recently read Makers by Cory Doctorow. It was very bizarre, like just very kind of outside of what my brain could understand very well. Apparently Overclocked is a book of short stories, so hopefully I won't feel quite so broken when I finish it as I did when I finished Makers, but we'll have to take a look and see. Next, I am reading through the path to become a knight. So the first book is read a book by your favorite author. So I am reading Cry Wolf by Patricia Briggs. This is the first book in the Alpha and Omega series by her. I also love her Mercedes Thompson series. The most recent book in Mercedes Thompson just came out, I think, in March. And the most recent book in the Alpha and Omega series is coming out next March. And I have to say, I am so excited. It feels so far away right now. Read a book with a weapon on the cover. I am reading Valiant by Holly Black. Actually, this is the second one in the series. Ironside is book 3 in the series. So I'm reading Valiant by Holly Black. Again, it's got nice foily cover and great big weapon, sword. And again, it's same series, dark fairy tale kind of stuff. Continue a series you've already started. I am going to be reading Hunting Ground, which is the second book in the Alpha and Omega series. I'm actually reading most of the series for various readathons in June. However, genius that I am, I put 1, 2, 3, and 5 on my TBR and not 4. So I'm reading an extra book. I'm also going to be reading 4 this month. Read a book featuring a quest to save something. This is where I put in 3 of the Alpha and Omega series. In this one, the main characters are trying to hunt down a murderer. So they are, and specifically, the murderer abducts their victims, keeps them, tortures them, and then kills them. And so the victim has been abducted, and they are trying to get to her before she gets killed. Okay, so that is the Night Path. Up next, and finally, is the Exile Path. Read a banned book. I picked Lady Chatterley's Lover. This book was banned in Canada and almost every other country in the world a long time ago. It is not any longer, but that does still count for the prompt, so I'm excited to read it. I've heard a lot about it over the years. It's been in books, it's been in movies, it's been mentioned a lot, so it's something I've been thinking about for a while, finally getting a chance to read it. Read a book with a dark cover. This is where I put in book 5 of the Alpha and Omega series, Burn Bright. A lot of this cover is really black. It doesn't look quite as dark on camera as it does in person, but it is a very dark cover. And of course, before I read that one, I'm also going to read book number 4 in the Alpha and Omega series, just because it doesn't make a lot of sense to me to skip a book. Next is read an outsourced book, one you don't own a physical copy of. Again, I asked my husband for a recommendation of this. He picked for me The Long Earth by Terry Pratchett and Stephen Baxter. And I'm reading that on my Kobo, my e-reader. So yeah, I have no idea what it's about. I know that Stephen Baxter writes very, very heavy sci-fi. He's written a series called the Manifold Time series, I believe, that we have the first 3 of, and my husband has read and he really enjoyed, but I don't do a lot of sci-fi. So, and Terry Pratchett, I mean, I've read a lot of his Discworld stuff. It's fantasy, but very strange fantasy. So I guess we'll see how the two come together in this one, The Long Earth. And finally, read a book that is disliked by someone else that you know. Sorry, sudden view of my ceiling. I'm reading Truth Witch by Susan Dennard. It was a pick for a book club I've been part of, and a lot of people read it and said, it just really wasn't their thing. So That's why I bought it, because I was in this book club. I just never got around to reading it. So because a lot of people said that it wasn't really their thing, that's my disliked book. So that's my June TBR. Just as a heads up, in July I'm doing at least 2 readathons, possibly 3. In July I will be doing the Bookie Trials with Rachel, and what else was I doing in July? All of a sudden I don't remember what else I was doing in July. Oh yes, To Be Continued Readathon. I'm doing that in July as well. And Thankful-a-thon is still deciding if they're doing an extra round in July, so I might be doing that one as well. And then in August, we have Newts, and I'm really looking forward to that. I've got, excuse me, I've got a page set up already in my bullet journal for what Newts I'm going to need. So looking forward to that. And there's a couple books I'm really hoping to be able to fit into my TBRs for the next couple months, so hopefully I'll be able to get some of those in too. Leave comments at the bottom if you have any comments or questions. Excuse me. Like and subscribe, feel free to share, and hope to see you next time. Happy reading!